Many talents. The question is, of course, what do I do with all of this? Only one thing has happened. He came into the world with the personality of a rebel. And the rebels, they want to change something. And because it's not always heard the same way when you're young, the rebel is planning to set the shop on fire or start something else. Now we want to read out a life task together with Chara. First of all, thanks.
Eine Lebensaufgabe herauslesen. Erstmal danke, Applaus bitte. Der hat
Chara is from Hamburg, right?
Und stimmt noch, oder?
I would have lied again.
You
can read lies too.
Hier, Lügen kann man auch lesen. So.
Chara from Hamburg. I met him years ago at a trade fair, and there was a speed reading, and at some point we had a long reading about personality, and then there was a reading about health. Man, if you're ever in Hamburg again, I still need the mission in life. In front of the group? Okay. Okay. In some countries you are not allowed to ask the question, and you have 40 people here, and in others, never mind. We want to have a look at the whole thing with him. I'm not writing it down, it's too long. You sent me photos, and just now we were standing down the hall and I was drawing mimic fields of movement. Yeah, it's not that exciting. I added arrows where he emphasizes more when he talks to get some more information.
Dadurch nochmal ein paar Informationen zu bekommen, weil es ja schon ein Unterschied ist.
Because it already makes a difference how someone talks to me. And then I compared the features I get from his photos with the facial expressions.
Die Merkmale, die ich aus seinen Fotos herausgeholt habe, mit der Mimik verglichen.
Reading the life task is a task that takes between an hour and a half. Because I read the personality a little bit.
Wenn jemand auch noch sagt, nee, lies bitte auch noch die ganze Persönlichkeit, dann geht es meistens leichter.
I look for the talents, I look for the learning sentences, and then I have to find an archetype for the person, so that this person has a translation in one word, what he is actually there for in life. Sometimes it is possible, like an assembly line worker. Sometimes. Now I have taken notes. I will read you your life's work as follows. I will briefly summarize once again what your personality represents. I will then talk about the talents and the so-called learning sentences. To repeat, at the beginning of our lives, the sentences are all the same. Learn to walk, learn to speak, learn to eat, learn to drink. Later, they become individual. Why learning sentences? Because they are kind of a to-do list. If you stick to your learning sentences, you would automatically come to your life task. If you do it like I did, don't stick to all of the learning sentences, you might get to the life task but with a break or in a snake line. But that's not bad, because sometimes the learning sentences are a bit huge or even complex. And you don't have to know all of them, but you should at least have heard them once, in the back of your mind. Because every time you violate your learning sentences, there's always someone in the back with a blade. That's not what I meant. We do the learning sentences, and then based on that, we have a way to give you an archetype. And the archetype, that's what I always tell my students and then also the lecturers, the archetype is selectable. That means that I, as a lecturer or as a face reader, I then search for an archetype from a pool of 40 archetypes and select the one that fits best. And so with 10 face readers, you might hear 8 of them say the same archetype and 2 might say a different one, which is similar, related to it. Okay, great. The bottom line is, it's not about what my archetype is, because we are a little title hungry. And who am I? You can't say all of that. Just say the title. And if I like it, great. And if not, then please don't. Mine is ambassador. When I first heard it, I thought, That's all? Capacitor?
Das ist alles. Ja.
But it's about how you act it out that matters.
Wie man es auslebt, darauf
There's
kommt
all
es ja an.
sorts of
Den kann man
ways
ja
to
auf
act
jede
it
Art und
out.
Weise ausleben.
So,
großes
big blah blah.
Schau bitte mal
Take a
kurz in
look
die
at the
Menge.
crowd for a minute.
Wenn ihr sein Gesicht anschaut,
When
dann
you look
seht
at
ihr
his
ein Gesicht,
face,
das
you will see a
von
face
seiner
that is not so
Gesichtsform
easy to
her gar
classify.
nicht so leicht zuzuordnen
He has a
ist. Er ist
mixture
eine
of
Mischform
three
von drei
face forms,
Gesichtsformen.
and therefore he has one
Und
thing.
damit
namely,
hat er
many
schon mal
facets.
eines, nämlich viele Facetten.
When a
Wenn ein Mensch
person
drei
has three
Gesichtsformen
face
hat, wird
shapes,
er häufig
he's often
missverstanden.
misunderstood,
Weil
because
unterbewusst würde jemand von euch
subconsciously
sagen,
one
der
of you
Typ,
would
ich weiß
say,
schon, der tickt so.
hey,
Die
that guy.
Nachbarin
The
sagt,
neighbor
nee, ich
says,
glaub, der ist
I
eher
think
so
it's
wie
more like this.
Und
And then the
der
third
sagt,
one
ja, gar
says,
keine Ahnung,
you have
der
no
ist eher so
idea.
ein Typ.
He's more like that.
Die drei
The three
Gesichtsformen
facial
machen
shapes
ihn
make him adaptable and flexible.
anpassungsfähig und flexibel. Der
But the
Nachteil ist
downside
aber,
is,
sie machen
they
ihn
make him
anpassungsfähig
adaptable
und
and
flexibel.
flexible.
Das
That
heißt,
means
man
it's
hat
harder to
schwieriger,
who am I?
seinen
People often
Selbstausdruck
ask
zu leben.
themselves,
Wer
I
bin
could do
ich?
that, I
Man
could do
fragt sich mal wieder,
that,
ja,
what am I
das können die
doing
machen,
now?
das können die machen.
And all facial
Nein.
shapes are
Und alle
also assigned to
Gesichtsformen
talents.
werden
That
auch
means
Talenten
he already has
zugeordnet.
talents from three
Das
facial
heißt, er hat schon
shapes
mal Talente
plus
aus drei
features,
Gesichtsformen plus
which are
Merkmalen, die dann
added,
noch dazukommen.
and
Und
facial
nämlich,
expressions.
er hat
He has
viele
many
Talente.
talents. And then
Dann
it gets a
fängt man
bit
auch an, ja,
difficult,
was,
because
und alle wollen
everyone wants
gelebt
to be
werden.
lived. These
So,
three
also
facial
diese drei
forms that we
Gesichtsformen, die
see
wir
in
bei
him,
ihm
you
sehen,
can
das
already
sieht ihr schon
see
mal an
that
seinem sehr
in
starken,
his very
dominanten
strong
Kinn,
and
auch an
dominant
den
chin,
breiten Kiefern.
and
Das
also
hat
in
er
his
zum Beispiel
strong
von den
jaws. And some of
Königen.
you
Ein
will
sogenanntes
think that is a very strong guy,
Und
a
einige
king.
von euch werden
What
denken,
do
oh ja,
kings
das ist so
do?
ein kerniger Typ, so ein König. Ne?
They
Was
want to
machen
lead,
Könige? Die wollen
they don't want
anführen,
to
die
be
wollen
led.
geführt werden.
They want to
Die wollen reden und
talk
nicht
and
zuhören.
not listen.
Danke, dass du gerade
Thanks for listening right now.
Die
They are
sind
good to
gut
the
zu
little
den
ones.
Kleinen. Kleine
Little
müssen
ones
Kinder
don't have
sein,
to
das
be
können auch
children. They can be employees or
Mitarbeiter
people
sein
in
oder
need,
Lohn, auch
even
Tiere.
animals.
Dann
Then
sehen wir
we see from the smoothness,
Glätte seiner
his side,
Seite und
the
der Länge
longitudinal
hat einen
direction.
Baum
He has a
gesetzt.
tree face.
Bäume sind
Trees
Wesen,
are
die
beings that
schützen,
protect,
trösten,
comfort,
schaffen.
give shade, give
Früchte.
fruit. Now
Jetzt
he
hat
has a
er
tree
Baum und
and a
König
king,
und ist deshalb
and
ein
is
Baumkönig.
therefore a tree king,
Die
the
Eiche.
oak.
Also,
So
kann die
you
also
can
gut
lean
an
on
ihn
him well.
anlehnen.
And he
Und
will
er
often
wird
have
in seinem Leben oft
experienced
die
in his
Erfahrung
life
gemacht
that there
haben,
were
dass es
always
immer wieder
people who
Menschen
wanted
gab,
to
die
lean
sich
on
an
him.
ihn anlehnen wollen. Ja. Und wenn er
And
nur ein
if
Baumkönig
he was
wäre,
just a
dann
tree
wäre das
king,
vielleicht sogar
then
ein
maybe
bisschen
that
seine
would be a little
Lebensaufgabe
bit
und
his
er wird
life
drin
task,
aufblühen.
and he will blossom in it.
Aber
But he
ist er
is
halt
not.
nicht.
He
Er
still
hat
has
etwas
something
im
up his
Petto.
sleeve.
Und
And
wenn
when
wir
we look at
seine
his facial features, we
Gesichtszüge
see that they are
ansehen, dann sehen
very
wir,
long.
dass sie sehr
A
lange
very
gezogen
long
sind.
face
Ja,
with a little
ein sehr
bulge
lang
at the bottom
gezogenes
and a
Gesicht.
little bulge in the
Und innen noch
front.
einer kleinen Wölbung nach vorne. Und
And
hier
here
wird er
he
der
is
Schlange
assigned to the
zugeordnet.
snake.
Und wenn ihr
And
bei
when you
ihm
look
seht,
at
wenn
him,
er spricht,
when he
jetzt hat er ja die
speaks,
ganze Zeit
how he
Rede
has
ein. Ich
kept
habe das
quiet all the
vorhin bei
time,
der Mimik
but I made a
extra
note of
notiert.
that in my facial
Ich habe nämlich hier
expressions.
so ein kleines
I've made a
Zeichen
little
gemacht.
sign here for tongue.
Wenn er
When he
spricht,
speaks, he
macht er nämlich
often...
oft.
This
Auch
is
das
also
wird
assigned
der
to the
Schlange
snake.
zugeordnet.
And this face shape
Und diese
is the
Gesichtsform
snake.
ist die Schlange. Mit
In
anderen
other
Worten,
words,
Baum,
tree,
König und
king,
jetzt kommt
and
die
now the
Schlange.
snake is added.
Wenn man
When you
das
put that
zusammennimmt,
together,
könnte
you
man
could
sagen,
say
Schlange
the
unter
snake
Königsbaum.
under the king tree. You
So kann man
could
das
call
nennen.
it. But snakes
Schlangen
tick a little bit
ticken jetzt
differently
allerdings etwas
than the
anders wie
firmly
die
rooted trees
festgewurzelten
and the
Bäume
kings who
und
make
die Könige,
tari.
die Taritara
What do
machen. Das waren
snakes do?
Schlangen.
Not for nothing, the word
Ja, nicht umsonst das Wort
serpentines.
Schlangenlinien.
So
Der
he
schlängelt
snakes
sich
his
also so
way
durchs
through
Leben.
life like that. Not
Und
because he
zwar
doesn't know
nicht,
what
weil
he
er nicht weiß,
wants,
was er will,
but
sondern
because he
er weiß
knows
sehr wohl,
very
dass er
well what he
dorthin
wants.
kommen.
He
Er
wants to
zielt
get
richtig,
there.
aber auf seine
He's
Art und Weise.
purposeful, but in his
Bei
own
jedem
way.
Schlangengesicht
With
sage
every
ich,
snake face, I
dass
say,
Mitarbeiter sind.
forget that you are staff.
Sie,
You don't want to submit
sie
to order.
wollen sich
No
keiner
routine.
Ordnung unterwerfen, keiner
You can
Routine,
forget about
kann
that
man
with
bei
snake
Schlangengesichtern
faces.
völlig abhaken.
Attention. Now it gets exciting.
Der
The
König
king
hat das Talent
has the
des
talent of the leader and
Und
the
das Talent,
talent to
etwas zu
create
erschaffen,
something because he
weil
wants
er
to
will
leave
Fußspuren
footprints,
hinterlassen.
fingerprints. The
Der
tree
Baum hat das
has the
Talent
talent
des
of
Lehrens.
teaching. It is a
Ein
good
guter
mentor,
ein
a
guter
good
Beschützer,
protector.
er fühlt sich
He feels
verantwortlich.
responsible. The
Schlange
snake
hat
has
das
the
Talent
talent
der
of communication
und hat auch
and
Kreativität.
also a creative talent.
Der
The
König
king
mit dem
with the
Baum
tree,
zusammen
as we have
ist,
already
ja,
noticed,
wie wir schon
is a bit of a
festgestellt haben, so ein bisschen
responsible
so
person,
ein
a humanitarian person, a social person who likes to stand up for others. You know the snake and the tree yourself when you look at pharmacies. There's a wooden stick and a snake comes around it. It stands for healing. For face readers, he has the talent of healing. we are curious what we will find there. In the old context, it means he helps, because he who helps heals. So, now we have already filtered out 5 or 6 talents. But we notice that he is a complex person. He has many contradictions, just to these 3 beings. The snake here and the tree, that's where I'm rooted now. So I took care of all the characteristics and wrote them down. We can reveal that we have the same age, both 40, right?
Lüge, Lüge. Es gibt ja gefühlt und geschrieben. Was, so alt fühlst du dich? Nein. Also, okay.
No, we are both in our 50s. What's striking is that for a man that age, his lips are extremely full. Lip fullness in men often decreases dramatically with age. Babies, small children, even the boys, full lips. And look at the lips of older men. Why is that? Genetic? Lifestyle. The lips, those that do facial massage know, or acupuncture, they know that the lips also have a lot to do with digestion, the intestines. That is why many bloodless lips are a sign of an inactive bowel. That's why many elderly people also have bloodless lips, clumsy bowel. Alright, full lips. By the way, he probably doesn't do a bad job kissing. Have I misread that? He is a person who stands for full lips. What do full lips stand for? Look at the children. Full lips stand for enthusiasm, for colors, for colorfulness, for cordiality, for emotions, sometimes even for tears. That is what full lips stand for. Have you seen when he laughs? This left clip? We know it from Madonna. What do we know about Madonna? She's either 1000% the ultra-feminine power woman, or she's so much of a guy that you have to take cover off. And people, that's what they say in Chinese face reading, who have a gap in the teeth, like him, or in their extremes, extremely male or extremely female, as far as their emotional life is concerned. So you can turn delicately filled, empathetic people into the ultra-king, warrior, he has it all. The nose of him shows face readers, namely the Greek physiognomy, freedom-loving. It also says that because it goes up, someone wants to go to the top. It also says he does too many things at once, perhaps too many. His ears are tight, which shows that he is addicted to harmony. He loves harmony, peace, and so on. But funnily enough, there's a little bit of sticking out down there. He doesn't always contribute to it himself. He loves it, but he is good at it himself. The chin tells me that if he falls down, he can get up again anytime. He doesn't have to worry about that. And so we see a lot of them. For example, the strong philtrum. The philtrum is this area, which shows that he has a strong attraction. And now that we want to move forward, I'll tell you what I wrote down. You've got a look on your face, the great enterprise. Education is an important word for you. The contradiction between tradition, traditional, and progressive, both are there. Hard-working. The contradiction that on the one hand you have the desire to be an authority and be responsible. On the other hand you are freedom-loving. But the freedom lover is not there and cares about the people. He is on the road again right now. Some kind of a part-time leader. Then he is protective, caring, and he also has the power of healing because of the snake. He's someone who's good with words, and he's probably really struggling right now that I'm talking all the time. He is ambitious, he is restless, he has an extremely good imagination, he's a very good communicator. He's good at getting around. He wants the company of others. He feels really comfortable the more people there are, because he needs the personal touch. This is someone who wants to be touched, that's why I did it. Then, spontaneously, generously. This is someone who's also adventurous and also, because of the tree rooted in him, needs security. We also saw some features on his face that had nothing to do with his personality. That means he must have gotten them in through his character at some point, or he got them put on. And that's why I say to him, whenever they come, you have to tell yourself in your head, wait a minute, that's not me at all. Maybe I should just relax and recharge my batteries, or maybe I should just let this person who stimulates that in me go. I, for example, when I run out of energy, get sarcastic, because it's probably some kind of protection for me. But at that moment, I find it especially cool. Only then I know, and in my head I go, wait a minute, we were just sarcastic there? Are we running out of energy? With you, it's whenever impatience strikes, because that is not assigned to a person like you. Whenever you dominate, whenever you control, or whenever you demand too much from yourself or from others, then you are actually not in your personality, because that represents a being that has nothing to do with you or your personality. Yes, you have the desire for dominance, also for material success, but you also want to express your feelings. The sixth and seventh sense also takes care of that. And you have such a natural authority that people like to listen to you and also follow you when you have something to say. That was a small leap into the personality. Reading my personality takes at least an hour. So, now we're moving on, because we have to get going. Let's say his face is a book. We'll write about for a lifetime. What do we write as a title on the book? The bank book? No, it doesn't fit. The phone book? No, it doesn't fit either. What do we call it? We'll put the influential individualist. He is a good communicator. He is the snake and the king. He doesn't want to lead all the time, but then does now and then. The influential individualist. If we can read more in facial expression, I could give him the book title right now, The Great Loss. You will find an answer regarding your life sentences in the first sentence. I've written down in English, keep the spirit alive. He is a person who has spirit, he has a lot of energy, and he wants to tear and move things, and he has to keep that spirit alive, no matter how big the loss is or was. The learning sentences are found with you. Don't put anything off, but always plan what you're going to do. I do it the other way around. I do it first. Exactly the other way around. Don't be too careless with your treasure. I don't mean the woman, but the material things. Next, avoid stubbornness, stay flexible. Next learning sentence, keep developing your organizational skills. This is very well trained, but he can develop it further. Never become too dominant. There's always someone more powerful. Then the next sentence is nice, you will like it. The journey will heal you. It's an invitation. Hey, keep walking. Be mobile. Don't hide. Possibly physically go on a journey. Then the next, keep your judgment. Whether it's moral or judgmental, always under the table. Under control. Don't bust out. Relax, don't be dogged. Be content with what you have. Don't let ambition drive you. Then, you are on stage. You are not the stage. So, you are on the stage, you are not the stage. It's very important. You, when you come with your theme, the stage is yours. But do it because of the theme. If you want change, you have to give up control. That's another learned sentence for you. And then the next one, also think about the consequences of your actions. Two last sentences that are very important for you. The first, don't feel guilty. Don't be so self-critical. And another one, a rebel is never a rebel his whole life, unless he falls. And that brings us to his life's work. Chara has many talents connected with leadership, communication, education, organization, healing, creation. What else did I write down? The world that is to travel, to go out, to evaluate, to teach. And that is the talent of spirit, which is actually assigned to the monk. That is someone who is inspired by something and wants to inspire others to do. You always want to discover new knowledge. By the way, you also have the talent of numbers. That's why you don't have a problem with money. Maybe I have to ask you as a consultant. So, this is also his soul. He has many talents. But the question is, of course, what do I do with all of it? Only one thing has happened. He came into the world with his personality as a rebel, more or less. And the rebels, they want to change things. And because it's not always heard the same way when you are young, the rebel just plans to set the place on fire or start something else. But if the rebel is always just fighting battles, then he will fall at some point. And that's why every rebel feels there has to be change, and he has felt that. But his translation for this rebel was, I live the rebellious king priest, because I'm king now and then I do something good for my soul. The priest is in there. There's also the life task of king priest. But I want to keep my rebelliousness. The rebelliousness that he has retained is actually the sign that it is not quite his life's work. His life's work, based on these things we have gathered, could be summed up in the term the druid. What is a druid? A druid is a part-time leader who appears whenever there is a problem with the people. They are starving, or they are hungry, or they are sick, or war breaks out, or they are not saturated spiritually. Then the druid appears, like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Then the druid appears, and there is the lead, and the king or the chief, he can deal with it because he knows the druid will fix everything, and then he will leave again. And then I'm boss again. And that's a good thing, because when the druid does that, he will always be mystical and special to the people, not an ordinary person in charge. The people love the druid, and if they don't love him, at least respect him and show him respect. What is incredibly important in old age when you get respect, because that is energy, love. That is the druid. And here's the thing, what does the druid need? What excites the druid are other druids, or other bizarre personalities. He goes out into the world and says, well, this is my magic book, I learned it, I can do it. What do you have there? Oh, cool. That's where he blossoms. And yet he feels the responsibility within himself, and whatever new or old I have in my magic book, I now bring back to the people. Then I have done my duty as well. And that's why it's very important that you always think about everything you do now in your life, privately as well. Is it druidic? And when you realize that it's druid style, then you live your personality and also your life task. What kind of druid you are then? So what means your druid uses? Is it a healing druid or a fighting druid? What the subject actually is doesn't matter then. I am an ambassador. If I could sing better, maybe I would be on stage and sing great songs. Then that was the message. I would also not have thought that I would use face reading to send a message. It will be the same with your druid. You live him, and the more often you live him, with the help of the learning sentences, with the help of what you should and should not do, and based on the fact that you keep asking yourself, was that druidic now? Where are the other druids? Who else is such a bizarre person? Oh, look what he's doing. This will stimulate you, and you'll find the subject where you can live the druid. And the important thing is that you realize that you shouldn't be a rebel anymore, but also not the king who should be responsible for everything and everyone. I hope that helped you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.